The alarm on my wrist buzzed twice, sharp and fast, and I knew something was wrong before I even looked at it. I was standing in a narrow corridor on Velkari Station, holding a tray of medical supplies, when the Queen of the Ashari walked past me with her guards. Her name was Vesik, though almost no one said it out loud. She stopped for less than a second. Her hand moved toward her crown and then froze in the air, like she had caught herself doing something forbidden. I noticed it because I had seen that same movement 100 times before, on soldiers trying to hide pain. My name is Daniel Hart. I am a medic, not a diplomat, and I had no business being close to her, but I could not look away. "You are hurt," I said. 2 guards raised their weapons at me instantly. The Queen lifted one hand, and they lowered them without a word. She turned her head toward me, slow and careful, like even that small motion cost her something. "Do not touch the crown," she said. "Ever." Then she walked away, and I stood there with my heart pounding, because I already knew I was not going to let this go. The ceasefire between the Ashari and the coalition was only 6 weeks old. 6 years of war had ended with a signature and a fragile peace that everyone was afraid to break. I was not part of the talks. I was support staff, nothing more. But that night, I could not stop thinking about the sound she made when she walked away. A short, tight breath through her nose. The sound of someone hiding pain because showing it was more dangerous than the pain itself. I pulled old sensor logs from the station archive, the ones from the day the ceasefire was signed. It took me almost an hour to find what I was looking for. There had been a shot fired that day, from a tower near the signing platform. The official report said it missed. The matter was closed quickly, buried under other paperwork, because nobody wanted the true story to reach the public and undo 6 years of effort in one afternoon. I looked at the angle of that shot. Then I looked at the images I had of the Queen's crown, the way it curved around the back of her skull. My stomach turned cold. The shot had not missed. It had struck the crown itself. I sat in my small quarters until early morning, staring at the numbers on my screen, trying to talk myself out of what I already knew. If a bullet had hit that headpiece and stayed there, moving slowly with every step she took, every turn of her head, then she was not fine. She was walking around with something lodged inside a device wired straight into her body, and she had told no one, because telling anyone meant admitting the ceasefire had already been attacked once. If that came out, the war could start again in a single day. I made a decision that could get me removed from the station, maybe worse. I took a portable scanning device from the medical bay, the kind meant for checking wounds without cutting into skin, and I went looking for her. Her guards blocked me before I got within 20 steps. I held up the scanner and spoke fast, before they could push me back. "There is something inside her crown," I said. "It has been there for weeks. If it shifts even a little more, it could reach something it should not touch." The guards looked at each other. One of them spoke into a small device on his wrist. A moment later, I was allowed to pass, though every step felt like walking into a trap I had built myself. She was sitting alone in a quiet side room when I entered, away from the noise of the main hall. She looked smaller than she did in public, though nothing about her had actually changed, just tired, very tired. "Do not touch the crown," she said again, her voice flat, like she had said it so many times that the words had lost their weight. "I am not going to touch the crown," I said. "I want to check what is inside it. There is a difference, and I think you already know that." She stared at me for a long moment. Then, without saying anything else, she sat back and allowed me to bring the scanner close to her head. The image appeared on the small screen between us, a misshapen piece of metal, wedged into the outer plating of her crown, sitting far too close to a set of thin wires running down toward the base of her skull. It had not caused serious harm yet, but it was moving. Slowly, with every motion of her head, it was creeping closer to something that mattered. "You knew," I said quietly. "You knew this was here." "I knew something was wrong," she answered. "I did not know how bad it was. I could not risk anyone finding out. If word spread that someone tried to end me on the day of the signing, the coalition and my people would blame each other, and the peace would break before it had a chance to hold. I looked at the tiny piece of metal on the screen, deformed from impact, clearly from a weapon built by human hands. My hands, in a way. Not mine personally, but people from my side. I felt sick, but I pushed that feeling aside, because there was work to do, and no time to waste on guilt. I can remove it, I said, but I need you to trust me for the next few minutes. Trust is not something I give easily, she said. I am not asking for forever, I said, just for the next few minutes. She was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded, once, and turned her head slightly, so I could reach the side of the crown where the metal was lodged. My hands were steady, though my heart was not. I had done difficult work before, patching soldiers on battlefields where every second mattered, but this was different. One wrong movement here would not just cost a life, it could cost thousands of lives, if the fragile piece collapsed because of what happened in this small, quiet room. I used a thin pair of forceps and worked slowly, watching the scanner screen the entire time to see exactly how close I was to the wires underneath. The metal piece was stuck at an angle, caught between two layers of the crown's outer plating. It was not touching her skin directly. It was touching the device fused to her, which was somehow worse, because I did not fully understand how her body and that device were connected. Tell me if you feel anything strange, I said. Anything at all. I feel everything, she said. I have felt it for 6 weeks. Just continue. I worked in silence after that, focused completely on the task in front of me. Every small movement of the forceps was slow and careful. At one point, the metal shifted slightly, and she drew in a sharp breath, but she did not tell me to stop. I paused, waited a few seconds, then continued when her breathing settled again. Finally, after what felt like much longer than it probably was, the metal piece came free. It made a small, quiet click as it separated from the plating, and I pulled it away carefully, holding it up so we could both see it clearly. She let out a breath that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside her, a sound of relief rather than pain, like she had been carrying something heavy for so long that she had almost forgotten it was possible to put it down. It is out, I said. It should not shift any further now. She reached up and touched the side of her crown gently, feeling the space where the metal had been. For a moment, she did not say anything at all. She simply sat there, breathing slowly, like she was allowing herself to fully feel the relief for the first time. You broke my rule, she finally said. No, I said. I did not touch the crown. I removed something that did not belong there. There is a difference, and I think you knew that difference before I even walked into this room, or you would have had your guards stop me long before I got this close. A faint, almost invisible change crossed her face, something I could not quite name, but it did not look like anger. Most of my own people never understood that difference, she said quietly. They saw a rule, and they followed it, without asking why it existed. You saw the reason behind it. The rule was there to protect you, I said. I was trying to do the same thing. We just used different methods. She looked at the metal piece still resting in my palm, turning it over slightly with her eyes, studying its shape. This came from a weapon made by your people, she said. It was not an accusation. It was simply a fact, spoken quietly. Yes, I said. And I am sorry that it happened. But I am not sorry that I found it. And I am not sorry that I removed it. She nodded slowly, then stood, straightening the crown slightly with her own hand, something I noticed she had not done in front of anyone before. No one outside this room will know what happened here, she said. Not the attack, not this. If it becomes known, everything my people and yours have built over these 6 weeks could fall apart in a single day. I understand, I said. I was never here. She studied me for a long moment before speaking again. You risked a great deal to walk into this room today. Guards, Rules, your own safety. I could not walk away once I noticed something was wrong, I said. That is simply how I am built. For the first time since I had seen her, something close to a smile touched the corner of her mouth. It disappeared quickly, but I saw it. Then perhaps, she said, your kind and mine are not as different as 6 years of fighting made us believe. I left the room a short while later, the small piece of metal secured safely in a container, marked as recovered equipment during routine maintenance, with no other explanation attached. No one asked further questions. No one connected the pieces. The piece held, quietly, the way most important things do when nobody knows how close they came to falling apart. I never spoke about that day to anyone else on the station. I did not need to. I knew what I had done, and more importantly, I understood why the rule had existed in the first place. She never told anyone not to help her. She only ever said not to touch the crown. And I made certain that I never did.